Hello and good morning, and today I want to show you a camo hack. So the difference between a normal hack and a camo hack is that, my normal routine involves an under eye correct with a red because I've got purple underneath my eyes and the red offsets the purple. Now I often find that if I don't powder it properly, it has to be a thin enough layer, but enough to set it. So if I don't do that properly, I can see pink showing through by the end of my day. Now, I've gotten fairly good at that, but it's also one extra step that I don't necessarily need. And it shows more color if I don't do it properly. So if I'm trying to be fast, sometimes it doesn't work out. So the difference between that and a camo hack is a camo hack, instead of your color corrector, it's actually going to have a third highlight. So my normal highlights right now are candlelit and white peach. And I'm going to add aura to it to help cover up these dark circles and a little bit of redness I have around my nose, as you can see. A little bit of redness, and I have quite large pores as well, so sometimes those show through and it's not fun. But this is supposed to help. So I've really been loving this camo hack. I'm not even sure what brush I want to use today. I'm just flying by the seat of my pants, but I really wanted to do this this video for you guys because it's a really cool way to prevent mistakes, which, I mean, we can always fix them, but if you don't have to fix them, why would you? So to start things off, I'm going to take a little bit of my Aspen contour. Now, this is not the contour I use normally. This would look a little muddy on me because I've got very warm tones and this is very cool, as you can see, compared to my normal contour. So I'm going to take a little bit of this contour. This is what I use for an eyeshadow primer. I love it because it's fairly neutral. It does have a little bit of a base color, but it's fairly neutral still. And as you can see, it looks fairly gray on me. It's supposed to be gray, but this is not the right contour for my skin tone. I'm covering this up so it won't show. So I just apply that with my fingers because I can get in these little grooves a little easier and get everywhere I need to go. I have deep set eyes, so I have to kind of get in that crease a little bit more. Like it's not easy to get it into the crease. Make sure you're tapping more than you are swiping. I find sometimes I have to swipe just very, very gently just to get the color to move where I want it to. But I tap and swipe. So as I'm swiping, I'm actually pulling my finger away from my skin, so it's not pulling on my eye skin very hard. The skin under our eyes and on our eyelids are very, very thin, so you want to be very, very careful with those. Another place I'm going to color correct here, and normally I wouldn't color correct, except for the fact that I've got this, although the camo hack is supposed to do that. So let's just see how this works with the camo hack. Oh yes, I'm going to stay spray my whole face, which I just spray into my hand and then rub it onto my face. I like to do this after I prime my eyelids because then I notice the eyeshadows stay a little bit better. You could do it before your primer. You don't have to. I'm just going to take a little bit more here and go dab over those eyes. Don't forget to get under eyes. And then we let it set here. Dry, baby, dry. All right. So we're going to get started on the Camo HAC here. I'm going to use the powder brush because, well, I love this for under eyes. So first things first, I'm going to take my third highlight. Now, the third highlight I'm using is Aura. And normally I would put my brightener all the way from right under my eye in a triangle. But this time I'm just going to put this Aura right underneath my eye. I'm not going to go into the corners or anything like that. This is literally just underneath the eye. So this is not the brightener. This is the Camo, which is the color correct, basically. As you can see, the color underneath my eyes is already starting to diminish. I'm just right now tapping and lightly spreading this out so that it's a nice thin coverage. I don't want too much. I still want it to look like me, but I also don't want that color there. So just tap, tap, tap. Don't go too heavy again with the brush because we don't want to damage the skin under our eyes. And you see how I've left that little inner corner and the outer corner yet. Right there. So this, you want to build up your product very, very slowly. If you notice, you can still see, you can add just a little bit more, but you don't want to go overboard. Just little bits at a time. That might have been too much, but I will tap and spread. Tap and spread. All right, so that is the under eye camo. Now we're going to go around the nose. I'm just going to tap right into that little crease right there. And you see how that's taken some redness away from that little corner. Hello, skin. Oh, don't mind my sniffles. I have allergies and the rain is seeming to bring up a few allergies. The only symptoms I have are watery eyes and, well, the occasional sniffle, but it's not too bad today. All right. So you can see how much more even the skin tone is already. I mean, I still have redness on my cheeks. I still have this blemish here to take care of. You know, it's not perfect, but you can see where I have added a little makeup, how much more even it already looks. So I'm going to take a little bit of my camo color there. And you see how that has pulled the redness. Aura has more of a yellow tone to it, so it's going to pull certain colors. And it looks really good. You can obviously still see the bump of my blemish, but you don't see the color, which is great. So I'm going to take now my white peach highlight, and I'm going to blend this in with the Aura a little bit. Make that triangle that I was talking about in the beginning, only it's 2 colors instead of 1. And you see how that's brightened up the inside of the corner. We're also going to lift the eye by adding that brightener right in the outer corner and bring it in a little bit. Already fabulous. So you can really see what that does with waking up my eye. Before I even get too far in, I've already woken up my eye. I've changed the direction it looks like it's going. You can see it looks a little droopy here because I don't have that lift. Whereas here it looks a little more lifted, more awake and ready for the day. So I'm going to basically just quickly copy that on the other side. So, all right, I have finished the other side. I am going to, I think, do my brows next. So for my brows, I like to use the line brush, although this is a really good one for eyeliner as well. I need to get a second one. So instead of the line brush, I'm going to use the multitasker. I'm just using this small end of the multitasker. And I take and I dip it straight down, just so I get the tip of the brush. And then I just gently trace the bottom of my brow. To get the shape that I want. And then once I get the shape that I want, I'm going to gently move it up and out. Sometimes I will start here. If I want it darker, I can start here. It all depends on the brush technique that you're using. I know professional makeup artists recommend that you start from the outer. And that does make the arc easier to form. And of course, keeps your lines nice, your colors nice, everything flowing smoothly. All right, so just a little bit more right here. That is probably the fastest I have done a decent brow. Usually I spend a little more time on them just to make sure they're exactly what I want, but that one turned out really nice today. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the other side, and then we will move on. All right, so I have both brows done, and now we cannot forget to make sure that things blend nicely underneath. So I put a little bit of my brightener highlight underneath my brow, and I blend it very gently into the contour I've used to prime. It also comes to a point right here and just completes that little outer corner. This will blend a little bit more. Don't worry about lines right now. We'll get to that. So just a real quick, and this is a real quick task, so I just don't worry about. All right, so as you can see, that is nice and blended. It doesn't look off, so it looks very nice. And I'm going to, before I go into the rest of my foundation, I'm going to take and apply my contour. Oh, pardon me, hiccup. And so I do that because that gives me a really good guideline of where I want to put my highlights. The biggest part is at the cheekbone. You really want that contour there for a guideline so that you've got that space and you don't have uneven cheek contours. That is probably my least favorite thing. And of course, I tend to do it every day, so I have to fix it every day. Really good at keeping things not symmetrical on my face, which is not a bad thing. There are no actual mistakes with this makeup because you can blend it together so simply and so easily. So just go along that cheekbone curve. I like to curve mine. I find it makes me look better. Some people, depending on the shape of your face, you'll want to go straight down towards the lip or a shorter contour line. It all depends on your face shape, which if you are in my Facebook group, I have graphics that I've posted or am posting to show you what's best for your face shape. Which shapes, which contour lines, which way you want to go, right? So, as you can see, I'm not quite symmetrical. I'm very close today, but I'm not quite there. This is the closest I've been all week. So we'll just stop right there and leave it alone. Don't forget your jawline because this is going to give you such amazing definition of your jawbones. Like, I haven't even blended yet, but look at that definition. And then I'm just gonna take and blend up and down. I like to blend downwards because I go right into here. It makes a great little shadow. Just make sure you're blending it really well along the jawline first. I tend to forget to blend the jawline if I leave it till afterwards, so that's my tip. Just blend it while you apply it. Otherwise, you'll end up going out with lines on your face if you're anything like me. My little boy, we have a little veranda or porch off the front of our house, and my office is on the front of the house, and I've got my little guy peeking in the window to my office. All right, so you see those lines, and just up, out and down, out and down. If you need a little more, don't be afraid to add it. And just go right along this line here. You don't want to cover your chin, but go right behind that little line to hide your double chin, which I have, so I like to hide it. And then just right into that little area there on the neck. Ta-da! All right, so now that the contour is mostly on, don't worry about the nose. We'll get there at the end. That I do after I apply all of my highlights. So now that we've got most of the contour on, I'm going to take my buff brush. This is my favorite for facial coverage, except for under eyes. This is really good for under eyes, don't get me wrong, but I seem to prefer the powder brush. I think it's because it's got like more of an angle there and I can move it a little bit easier and better. This one, it does have an angle, but it's not as steep of an angle, but it still works great. If you can only afford one brush, I would recommend the buff, especially if you have mature skin. So I'm going to go back into my brightener and finish up that part of my face. Now that I've got contour on, my brows are done, And again, no matter where I go on my face, I'm just tapping it out. I'm not swiping. The reason I do this is because it does give more of a Photoshop finish. You know, that blurred skin, so you don't see your pores kind of finish. It's like an airbrush without airbrushing. Now, if you don't have time for this, you can still blend in circles and just go at it. It'll still look fine. This is just what I have found personally works best for my skin. So, and I kind of have just average skin. I'm not overly greasy. I can get a little dry depending on the season, but generally I'm not. So don't come at me, don't hate me for it, but I've got actually really nice skin. Not to toot my own horn or anything, you know. All right. So brightener in between the brows, up the forehead into kind of like this tree shape. You want to take and trunk down the middle of your nose, because that's going to brighten your nose. And just, if any spot seems too light, take from a denser covered area and just tap, tap, tap. Tap it out. All right. So the next place I'm going to put my brightener, right on the chin. And I go right into this little crease right here. And make sure you get right to that contour line. You don't want to leave an empty space there. So just tap, tap, tap. And go right up to the lip. Then with a little bit of it, I don't want too much because I'm actually going to put my main highlight around there as well. And then some contour. All right, so the last place I'm going to put that highlight, my brightener highlight, is right on the cupid's bow. I will contour that after. It'll make it more defined, more pronounced. But now I'm just going to wipe off my brush a little bit. I actually tap it on my arm and just kind of rub a little bit of that excess foundation off. I try not to take too much on my brush. I just dab once, get a little bit, and go. This also prevents too much product on the face and the brush. So you'll have less excess on the brush when you go to clean it, and you'll have less product on your face to create that cakiness. We don't need any cakiness. So a little bit at a time. If you need more, build it up slowly. And don't forget to make sure that your highlights blend together. You do not want to be having that clear definition between them. And I know I've been watching this fabulous makeup artist that I really enjoy watching. Like, he is very fun to watch, and I've learned a lot. Technically, you're supposed to start on the inside of your face. Now, I didn't know this, and I was starting on the outside of my face, but you're supposed to start on the inside of your face and work your way out, so that because oftentimes you'll need more coverage in the middle of your face rather than the outside. So you want to keep more to the inner parts of your face. I just put a little bit, you see the side of the nose right there. I put a little bit of my mane right along there, and those 3 colors, if you notice, have made a fantastic look for my nose. Now, don't worry, it's not contoured yet, so we'll get a little more definition as well as color to it yet. Oh, dry throat. But you can see the difference between each side of my face already. Now, this is where I will blend my contour into, put my bronzer and my blush. So there's a very little bit of space there, but it will get covered. Don't worry about that spot. Don't worry about it. Just let it be. Let it be for now. So, just finish up. Knocking things over. People are playing at my door and scaring me. I didn't realize they were that close. Alright, so let's finish this other side and then get on to the rest of our face. Alright guys, so we have finished the main coverage. I'm just going to make sure my contour is blended into my foundation up on my forehead. Always take along from the hairline down. It will create a better contour line. You don't want to just go straight across or from here up. You're going to get your darker line here and your lighter line here, and that's going to look really, really funny. So your best, I mean, you can swipe across it. It's up to you. You'll just have to blend longer and may end up using more product that way. This is my trick to help you save a little product, because who doesn't want to save, well, in turn, money. So I'm taking the big end, and that's what I used of the buff brush. That's what I used to blend out that contour on my head. I'm going to do the same thing with the cheek contour. And you never want to blend this down. You always want to blend it up. You see how that, it looks really, really nice today. And you don't need to blend that a lot. You'll blend it a little bit as you put your blush and bronzer on. So you don't have to go too hard or anything on that one. Need a little more on this side. And if I need a little bit more, I just tap that brush into it just the teeniest bit. You can see right on the tip, there's a little bit. I'm not putting a lot on. I'm just trying to fill and make them a little more symmetrical. Which, that comes from me being a perfectionist. Don't worry about it. If it doesn't bother you, don't worry about it. This is just me being me. So, next thing's next. I'm going to take, this is the blush or the blush brush. It used to be the blush and bronzer, so I'm used to calling it that. But I'm going to take it and I'm gonna find me a pretty blush to wear today. But I'm also gonna put my bronzer on. So I like to put my bronzer on before I put my blush on. And that's because you want to define that definition. So you'll want your contour, your bronzer, your blush. And then there's a highlighter yet. So you really have to be careful. There's not a lot of space to put that if you want the lift provided. But play with it. Have fun with it. Don't freak out about it and turn into some weirdo perfectionist like me. I am very much a perfectionist, but I also love the fact that I don't have to be if I don't have the time to be. So as you can see, I've put a little blush right above my eyebrows. This is where the sun kind of hits your head and creates natural color. Another place to put color is a little bit right on the nose. You see right on the bridge there. Then we want to go right along that contour line. And this adds a nice summery glow to your skin. This is another one you don't want to be actually blending downwards. That was bad of me. But you see that color that's kind of deepened and enriched in with the contour versus this side. And like I said, it blends a little bit of the contour as well, so you don't want to overblend before you get to your bronzer. And you can see just how I'm glowing already, just with a little bit of that bronzer as a sun-kissed glow. And don't forget to go a little bit down here. Again, this is just for color. It's like just a little bit of color. You don't want a lot. And I think with the color my cheeks are looking today, I'm going to go in. Now here's the blush side. A little foundation on there from blending the other day. So I'm just tapping that off on my skin. There we go. That's better. And I'm going to take, this one is Tropicana. And I'm just going to put it a little bit above the bronzer. Now, the higher on your cheek you put it, the more lift. If you can see the difference between the two sides, this side has a lot of lift. It looks a lot higher than this side, even though my contour lines are fairly even. They're not perfect, but they're fairly even. It's because I put the blush up here. It just brings everything upwards. So you don't need to do a lot on the apples of your cheeks. You can do a little bit if you want to, just a little. But if you notice, it just creates a huge facelift when you put more on further back. So I think I'm about done with that part. So now that we have the cheeks all gorgeous and covered and flattering, I'm going to go in with a little bit of powder. Now, I'm not a huge fan of actual setting powder. I may be weird, but I find that I use Saint's Cupcake eyeshadow. You see how nice and light that is? Like it's not a ridiculous color, but I find that covers a lot nicer under my eyes. So I just powder that up a little bit. And I'm not putting a lot on. I want a little bit just to keep it in place. And I go in that kind of triangle. And you see how it has diminished the line from my deep set eyes. Now that's a line that never goes away. Unless I were to use fillers, there's no way that one will go away. Because that is the start of my eye socket. So that line is just there. I have accepted it. I love it for the fact that it is me and who I am, and I am unique, and I am gorgeous no matter what. So I've just, yes, accepted that little line because that is exactly where my eye socket starts. All right. So a little bit more contour, and that is the Camo HAC. Of course, it doesn't have to take this long. I'm also explaining and talking and, chatter, right? So I'm going to take the dense end of my eyeshadow brush. This is what I powdered under my eyes with. This is a nice little fluffy brush. Gets me this great powder coverage without putting too much. I don't really push it into the skin under my eyes. I find I don't need to. I don't usually have a problem with that. So I'm going to take, and I'm using the dense end. I've tapped it in my contour. And just a little bit right in the middle. And that little dip. And I blend it out just a bit. And I do powder that one so it stays. Because, if you blow your nose or something. Or get food on your lip, that little bit of powder seems to help. So then, and I don't dip into the powder, I just use whatever's on my brush. I don't put a lot on at all. So again, I dip once more into the contour. Now I'm going to do that a couple times throughout this process because I don't put a lot of contour on my brush to start with. I don't want it to be a heavy line. And you just want to bring that up, pointing towards your contour or your brow. The contour goes towards your brow. And then I blend it backwards so that it blends into my highlights. And then we'll just try and recreate that on the other side. And you see how little contour I'm using. Like you can barely see it show up as I put it on the skin. I'm not using a very dark line. It does make it easier to blend that way. So again, right into the foundation on my nose. I want it to blend so nicely. And then just teeny little bit right on the tip. All right. Last place I like to contour. Just right under that bottom lip. Now these are little extra steps. You don't have to. But these are ones I really like. And you'll likely see them in most videos. But you see how that's created a pout to my bottom lip. So that right there is a Camo HAC. If you wanted to go out just like this, it looks absolutely fine. Pop on a little lip conditioner and maybe some mascara and be on your way. You don't even have to have mascara. I just use it because mine are so light because, well, ginger. But yeah, so that is a Camo HAC. I am quite impressed with how the coverage has turned out. You really don't see that purple. I mean, if you look really closely, you can see that there is some color underneath. But that's when you're like this close to my face, which is not bad. That is not bad at all. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned a few things. And if you're interested in trying the Camo HAC and you need to be color matched, please feel free to reach out because I will help you get the right shade of any of these. And if it's not the right shade, we can exchange it for very little hassle. And there is a 30-day money-back guarantee on these products. So what are you waiting for? Let's get you hacking. Bye, everyone.